Attention promoters, event organizers, and committees. If you're looking for a place to have your next big event, you must check out the Sea Room Multiplex. The Sea Room Multiplex cordially invites you to book your next artist or to host your next big event at the Sea Room, specializing in the following areas: CD release parties, showcases, fashion shows, movie premieres, birthday celebrations, wedding receptions, banquets, pastor's anniversaries, special events, and more. At the Sea Room Multiplex, we also offer catering and decorating packages. For more information, call us 678-823-5124. That's 678-823-5124. Or visit us on the web at searoomatlanta.com. That's c-roomatlanta.com. The Sea Room is Atlanta's premier Christian entertainment venue. The Sea Room, 4013A Jonesboro Road, Forest Park, Georgia. Mention this ad for special pricing.
This is Minister Jonathan Simmons, host of the Real Talk Sports Show. Do you like the positive sports stories you've been hearing? Well, partner with us to help keep the good news of sports on the air. We have great audio, video, and internet advertising packages available to promote any size business or event. Contact me directly at 678-410-9833 or send me an email, sales@realtalksports.net. We'd love to partner with you to keep the good news in sports on the air. We hope you can hear a live broadcast here, and hopefully everybody can hear me loud and clear. And so we're going to go to our broadcast here, and we have, I believe, Mr. Miles T on the line. Miles, are you there? Okay. Do we have Mr. Ken Swilling on the line?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
There he is. All right. Well, Miles T is trying to reach me on the cell phone. I'm not sure what's going on, but he's trying to call on the cell. Can't get you on the air on the cell. You have to call in. The number is 347-326-9991, and you can reach us and be part of the live broadcast. We also are broadcasting on YouTube Live, and we also are broadcasting on Facebook Live as well. So you can join us on any one of those platforms. I think Mr. Miles T might be able to be on the line now. Let's check in here. And we're going to the phone lines and looking for Mr. Miles T. Miles T, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
All right. And there's Mr. Miles T. I was a little concerned. I was calling the cell phone. I was like, we can't dock him in on the cell phone, but he is now with us. And matter of fact, guys, you can be with us. You can give us a call at 347-326-9991, and you can be part of the live broadcast. We're also broadcasting on YouTube Live and on Facebook Live as well. Chat rooms are open, so we can see you. All right, gentlemen.
Yes,
Big weekend, another big weekend of sports. Not the best if you're an Atlanta sports fan.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
All right, well, Miles, I'll go to you first because I know that you are a big-time Falcons fan, so we'll go to you first.
I guess we got to go with Matt Ryan's with 22 out of 36, 288 yards, one touchdown, one interception. You know, I guess the numbers weren't too bad. They did have a couple of drops. The receivers did let them down a little bit this weekend. And you know what, Minister? I was thinking, me, Brother Ken was talking, and it seems like everything that was going good for them last year is just the complete opposite this year. You know, them balls that, what's his name, Gabriel dropped going across the middle. He would have caught that last year with 20, 30 yards for the touchdown. You know, and it's just funny how, like, the offense was the centerpiece of it and the main stream of this team that this year is flipped to the other side. It's the defense that's carrying the offense that can't produce. So, you know, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, they still got light. There's still a little crack at the end of the tunnel where they can see a little light. And they, luckily, they playing against the Carolina team that we already unsealed our deal. And y'all just hope that we better play some backups or something so y'all can go ahead and sneak on in there.
All right.
I'm going
to let Mr. Swilling kind of respond to that, sir. You notice how he said our, speaking of Carolina, is he switched?
He's been a Carolina fan. I give him this. He's been a Carolina fan since I've known him. He's always been he's a big Cam Newton guy. So he's been a Carolina fan since I've known him. However, I will say this. I know Miles he really wanted to blame Matt Ryan for the loss this weekend, but but you really can't blame Matt. You get inside the 5-yard line twice. You actually have a touchdown from Julio called back. You had some egregious calls. They got some calls when they were here 2 weeks ago, and I guess turnabout is fair play. And I'm the type, I don't believe in blaming the officials for losses or wins or anything like that. I just think that they should, if you're playing well enough, they don't become a part of the game. And unfortunately, they became a part of the game, and I think that affected the play of the players on the field because they felt as if that was kind of stacked against them. Dropping the ball, you got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. If you're Marvin Hall, if you're Taylor Gabriel, you've got to do those things across the middle, especially. And to be honest with you, Julio Jones had a great game, but there are key situations when sometimes you look out there, he's not in the ball game. I think Julio should be in the ball game on every third down, long, short, or whatever. I think he should be.
I'm gonna do this real quickly. I'm gonna do a little housekeeping. Hang on 1 second, Ken. If you guys are on the air and you are, watching the live Facebook, you're gonna have to turn the volume down because we're getting the loop back into the system. So if you got the Facebook Live or YouTube Live turned up, I'm gonna ask everybody please to turn it down. Or if you got some stuff going on in the house, please turn it down because it is coming through on the live broadcast. Well, Ken, I think you hit it on the head. Matter of fact, during the game itself, the announcers made mention of the confusion on that critical play where the interception was thrown, where actually Julio had stepped onto the field. And I'm not sure who called him back, whether it was a change in formation, but all of a sudden he kind of got a quizzical look and went back on the sideline. Of course, we know what happened after that.
Yeah, he was getting ready to step on the field, and you actually saw the coach there pull him back. He used to coach at Tampa. He's the offensive kind of.
Oh, Raheem Morris.
Coach now.
Yeah, Raheem Morris.
He pulled him back, and Julio had a look on his face like, huh? Like Julio knew he was supposed to be on the field, but they pulled him back. And with Julio catch the ball, we would like to think he would have caught that ball, and it would have been a first down, and you'd been driving down the field. We'd like to think that. But when you start getting plays like that happen to you in a ball game where a guy is laying on his stomach and catches the ball on his behind rather, it kind of makes you feel like things aren't going to go your way that particular day. And when you look at it from that point on, the game was still 6-0 at that point. And they scored. We didn't put it even into a bad but I think we just had a busted coverage there with True Font. True Font kind of didn't hold up on the end, and he was Ginn was just supposed to be a clear out guy, but when Breeze saw him open, he really laid it in there to him, and the next thing you know, you're down 13-0 going into halftime with them getting the ball back. You come out at halftime, and you still have opportunity because Deion Jones puts you in a position to score early in that second half. So all in all, I tell people, and we talk about this all the time, we can't compare last season to this season, but Miles, you are right when you say this about the Falcons. It seems like everything that they're getting this year, everything they got last year, the ball is bouncing the opposite way. And that ball is oblong. It's funny. It bounces funny sometimes. Sometimes it'll be on you and slip out of the way. So that being said, it's just one of those things where the Falcons just have to do business this weekend, regardless of who's playing for the Carolina Panthers. We have to handle our business and take care of our business. I believe we will, and show up in that last playoff spot.
And I actually want them to be 3 NFC South team. That would be very interesting. I didn't check the history. I don't know if that would be the first time that's ever happened, or do y'all know about that? Or
if I'm not
out of the same division making the playoffs?
If I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago in the AFC North, I think Cincinnati, Baltimore and Pittsburgh all won, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, if there's any, if I had to gamble and say if there was a division that had it, that would be a division I would say maybe has had three playoff teams in it. Because sometimes they play really close. But it would be something to see. It'd be great for it to happen. As I've been saying, telling people all weekend, they've been upset and grumbling and complaining. I'm saying, well, you're in a position now. You still control your destiny. You still have an opportunity to win, and you're in. You just got to handle your business and do what you do at home, and we should be okay. If not, then hey, it's been a good season. It's been a good ride, and we'll see y'all in 9 months.
Well, the good news is that the old preacher was spot on. 2011 NFL season. It looks like that might have been the last time. AFC North 12-4 Baltimore Ravens, 12-4 Pittsburgh Steelers, and the 9-7 Cincinnati Bengals. They were the last team to do it. Now, interestingly enough, in 2007, 3 NFC East teams went. 13-3 Dallas Cowboys, 10-6 New York Giants, 9-7 Washington Redskins, and of course we all know what happened with the 10-6 Giants. They went on to, of course, win the Super Bowl in that year. Right. So you just, at the end of the day, Ken, everybody talks about it. You played in the league. Everybody knows it's, hey, we want to at least get to the dance, because once we get in there, anything can happen.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. That's the key thing that I keep pointing and stressing to everybody. Hey, all you want to do at this level, and the players that are there, all they want to do is get to that second season. Whatever's driving them to get there, they just want to get to the second season. Because if you ask me, I like Atlanta's chances when they get into the second season. I like the whole, I like the whole NFC South when it comes to the second season, if you ask me, because we have the guys that have been proven in the playoffs.
That's right.
We've got 3 veteran quarterbacks that have been proven, and all 3 of our quarterbacks have been to a Super Bowl. So yeah. If it's supposed to be an advantage, whether it would be or not, I don't know. The Rams are a juggernaut right now on offense. Todd Gurley is running with some reckless abandon, and he's just really lighting it up. From that standpoint. So it's going to be real. I think that's going to be a tough out for anybody that gets them. But I'm not afraid of them because they're so young and they haven't been tested in that way yet. So when they get a hold of a really good defense that kind of limits Gurley to do some things that he likes to do and puts the game in Goff's hand, we'll see what happens at that point.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because it's funny you should mention that, Ken, because that sounds a lot like what people were saying about a team from Atlanta last year. Oh, they're young. Wait till they play against them. But it's really. I think we a lot of guys talked about it. And Miles, I'll let you jump in after this. It's really a lot of times it's momentum driven. The Falcons last year were red hot. Their offense was actually, like the Rams, was really high potency all year long. And then they just seemed to hit their stride, man, in that last month of the season. And then once they hit the playoffs, of course, we know that both Green Bay and Seattle were not 100%, but it didn't matter because they beat them like they won 100%. So it should be interesting. Go ahead, Miles.
Oh, well, I was just saying the way how he explained the offense and Todd Gurley, the NFC South defenses, all 3 of them, the way all 3 of them are playing right now, the Falcons, the Panthers, and New Orleans, it seemed like they could sort of stop Gurley's, pass, wrath of pass that he has right now, the role that he got going. And they look like they're all 3 capable of beating them. And also, you can't forget about the Philadelphia Eagles, which I have lost a lot of confidence in them with Nick Foles. I just don't see Nick Foles being able to take that team there. That's what I see so far. We don't know. But, I mean, it's just, I think that the 3 best teams in the NFC are out of the South, and I think one of those 3 are going to come out to represent the NFC out of the into the Super Bowl. One of those 3 out of the NFC South, if Atlanta was able to pull that off this weekend, which I think they are, because I really think they're going to sit some people. Carolina. I mean, why would you risk anything unless they can win the South. No, New Orleans already clinched it, right?
No, actually,
They
if
clinched it last week. They clinched it.
nope, if Carolina beats Atlanta, then they would in fact be well. Actually, they would need this. Atlanta would have to. They'd have to beat Atlanta, and I believe New Orleans has to lose. Matter of fact, I know they do because if they're tied with the same record, New Orleans has a tiebreaker because they actually beat the Panthers twice this year. So, bottom line is the Panthers have an outside shot, but it's going to require them to win and New Orleans to lose against Tampa Bay. So, and both of those things are possible. Both those things are possible.
Right, exactly.
Well, guys, again, if you want to call in, for those of you who are listening to the broadcast, you can give us a call at 347-326-9991. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show or watching the Real Talk Sports Show if you've logged on to Facebook Live on our Facebook page or on to YouTube Live. You can check us out right there. Well, John, I just want to update you, gentlemen, with this situation to let you know that it is the if a team went in that was a wild card, excuse me for being distracted. I got, like I said, everybody blowing my cell phone up here. Again, folks, the call in line is 347-326-9991 if you want to be on the air. Here are the teams that have actually went from the wild card, Super Bowl champions. 1980 Oakland Raiders, first team to do it. Super Bowl 15, they put against, ironically, the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Dick Vermeil. And they went ahead and knocked them off 27-10 in that game. 1997 Denver Broncos. I didn't realize that. The team that played against the Falcons, I believe, the team that played against the Falcons. They were the wild card, and of course, you know, they beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl 34-19. 2000 Baltimore Ravens were the wild card that year, and of course, they destroyed the New York Giants in that Super Bowl. 2005 Steelers did it. Super Bowl 45 in 2006. That was the matter of fact, I was just watching a clip of that the other day. That was the Bus Bowl at
San Antonio Holmes sideline kid, right?
Correct, and of course they were trying to win it for the bus. Yep, that was the big thing then. And then the Giants in 2007. So it can be done, but the Falcons are really going to have to. The Falcons are really going to have to step up their game and really get this offense in sync. Because to me, that's what it looks like, Ken. When I look at these guys, it just seems the offense is still not 100% in sync.
I would definitely agree with that, and but it's just about learning how to win a different way. And I think the Falcons have kind of learned to win a different way, but our offense right now just it's not trustworthy. if the word that that would come to mind for me to say about it.
Right.
As much as a Falcons fan as I am, I have to realize, and I do realize, that the Falcons this year, they are quite inconsistent. I think right now we have, all of last year, we only had like 10 drop passes the whole season.
Right.
This year we're almost at 30.
Yep.
We're almost at 30 passes that have been dropped. And those are catches that should be made that, in that realm of in that sphere of being able to be caught or whatever. So when you look at that, and you look at opportunities that are wasted, you look at bad penalties, just uncommon, unsmart play, and it's happening. It seems like it's always happening when we're in the midst of something. I look at the game just the other day. Devontae Freeman breaks out, has a good 40-yard gain, and it's called back because Clay Matthews holds on a play or has a bad block. But when you look at it, you really didn't see it was a phantom bad block, I guess, because I really didn't see either the hold or anything bad happen. But it's just one of those situations where you every time something is like it's taking 2 steps forward and about 3 steps backwards every time. I for the first time in the season, I think I saw like a first and 40. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's funny. I tweeted that out. I wanted to ask people, does anybody know what a play call is for first down and 40? I've never seen that in my life. And if you remember, they ended up with a 3rd down and 30, which is crazy.
Right, exactly.
Well, let's see if we can let's see if we can pull up here the comments, post-game comments, first by Matt Ryan. Let's see if we can grab him and hear what he had to say about the misfortunes of the Falcons and what they do next. Trying to get this. Let's see if we can get Matt Ryan on here. All right, let's see if we can get Coach Dan Quinn. And it looks like we're not getting any response from our clips today, but that's okay. A little technical difficulty there. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring you that clip later on in the broadcast. Again, if you want to give us a call and join the conversation, 347-326-9991. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you live here on, I won't say it's a new platform. We've had the platform for a while, blogtalkradio.com. And you just put in Real Talk Sports, and you'll find the broadcast coming across to you loud and clear. Well, again, let's continue on with the Falcons here, kind of what they have to do. You know, it's interesting because I try to look up, you know, some of these stats, you know, with Matt Ryan, because certainly, you know, I think we talked about this last weekend. You know, if you look at the difference between that team, they've had a lot of drops, but the numbers of the drop-off offensively, especially with Matt Ryan, is just staggering to look at. I mean, this year, he's only had 2 games where he's thrown for over 300 yards. Last year, in his MVP season, he averaged over 300 yards a game passing. 38 touchdown passes for him last year, only 7 interceptions, 19 touchdown passes this year, and already 12 interceptions. So, I mean, it's hard not to look at him because his numbers have dropped off so dramatically that it's there. But I think that, you know, when you look at it, it's almost like he's in the, and I know Miles is going to fall off the table when I say this, he's almost in the Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan syndrome, whereas now, what the year that Matt is having, if you look at his statistics over his 10-year career, he's about in line number-wise with what he normally does, except for his passing yardage. But because he's coming off an MVP season that was so spectacular, he's almost comparing good Matt against mediocre Matt. What do you think about that?
I mean, I agree with that. Before Miles jump on the bandwagon, I'm going to agree with that because, you know, I sit here and I look at Matt, and what happened is when a guy plays at an MVP level or plays at a high level in a certain season, you look for him to repeat or be as good as he was the following year.
At least in the
ballpark.
ballpark.
You want to see if that was really real.
Right.
You know, at least in the ballpark somewhere. You want to see if that was really, if it was just an outlier, or was it, or is this guy really that good? Is he approaching that level? You know, and you know, I'd have to say Matt Ryan is just, as Miles will say, he's just being Matt Ryan right now. You know, this is 2 years. If you take out last year, look back at every other year, this is what Matt Ryan has pretty much given us. You know, there was some pretty good years in there in between, but, you know, he's been fairly up and down, inconsistent, always making kind of the wrong decision when it comes to putting the ball in harm's way, you know. So it kind of, you know, I hate to agree with this. This is real sour coming out my mouth, but sometimes I have to agree with Miles when he says it, you know. And the reason I'm talking like this because I know that we're not being recorded tonight. So,
well, I
record back on. I'm just messing, but you know, I love Matt Ryan, but you know, this year he hadn't been as successful as we'd like to see him. He hadn't been as good as we'd like to see him be. You know, and you know, he's gonna have to step up these next. I mean, in this game here, the onus is on him. I think he has to be the guy that leads this team to victory.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be that guy that can stand up and say, you know, and it's crazy because you know, everybody's making these shirts of him with the expletive from.
Oh yeah.
From
Get blank and set. Yeah, right.
We need more of that, man. We need more of that, Matt. You know, so we need more of that guy that's kind of fiery, that guy that's kind of, you know, in tune and ready to go, you know, and ready to lead his team.
Yes, sir. Well, y'all almost got me speechless right now, man. Y'all almost got me speechless out here. But I mean, that's just I hate to pat myself on my own back, but I mean, that's what I've been seeing ever since I've seen him at Boston College. Is what I've been telling y'all. He does it. He'll give you a good little season here and there. He'll get you to the playoffs, but he's not that guy, not that leader, not that elite guy, quarterback consistently that was going to get you that championship ring.
Well, again,
that's what I've seen. I've been seeing it out And I'm just saying, I just got that niche to see that in a quarterback. I see it in the Drew Brees. I see it in the Phillip Rivers. I see it in the Russell Wilsons, the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Peyton Mannings. You can just see that championship DNA in them, and they when they perform and they do it at a high level with far less talent than Matt Ryan has done it with. I'm just saying that's what really stands out. Matt Ryan's had just as much talent or more than half of those quarterbacks in the last 8 to 10 years. He's done one Super Bowl. He's done had the last 3 years. He's done had just as much talent or more than any of those. And he's yet to pull one or get one.
Well,
I'm just saying.
At the end of the day, when I look at Ryan's statistics and look at what he's done, you do ask yourself, okay, if you put one of those other guys in the elixir, what might have happened? But I mean, certainly you don't want to take anything away from Antonio Gates, probably one of the greatest tight ends ever to put him on. He was with Phillip Rivers for most of his career. Certainly, you don't want to forget that he also had another Hall of Famer, LaDainian Tomlinson, which was running back for a good portion of his career as well. So we don't want to just throw that the baby out with the bathwater. And for a while, the New Orleans Saints, they had a pretty decent offensive ensemble around Drew Brees. But again, and please, I mean, you do remember that Peyton Manning had Edgerrin James, he had Marvin Harrison, a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying, and then later on he had
none of them are Julio Jones. None of them got that 4'3", 6'3" frame that can, that's just super athletic. None of them had that type of receiver, that kind of talent.
All right. So in other words, what you're telling me,
you coming into his own.
Right. So what you're telling me is that Marvin Harrison, again, a Hall of Fame receiver, you don't think he had credentials like Julio Jones, because Marvin Harrison did it over a decade of consistent leading the league or being one of the top 3 players in the league in terms of receptions. So, I mean, he may not have had the physicality that Jones has, but certainly he had probably some of the best hands that you've ever seen at the wide receiver position. So, I mean,
definitely.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, I mean, Matt Ryan, yeah, he is what you can say what we thought he was, but at the end of the day, we thought that he was always on the cusp of being elite. Even me, being a big Matt Ryan fan, you never heard me say, "Oh yeah, that he's in with the Bradys or the Drew Breeses," because he's not at that level. As far as Rivers is concerned, I mean, I think that you like him because of his fire on the field. But the realities are, I mean, he throws his own fair share of picks, and he hasn't got San Diego to the Super Bowl either. So at the end of the day, if I look at Matt Ryan, it's like this. The bottom line is he has to step up, because if you look at his numbers last year, and I know these are MVP numbers, but these numbers that he had last year, even the New England loss notwithstanding, were insane. I mean, this guy from the end of November on was really, no doubt about it, if not the best, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He had actually, for that short period of time, moved into elite status as far as his performance on the field. And I'm not going to say he has to duplicate that, but he's going to have to get darn close to that. And I think the other thing, too, is they need the other guys. I mean, they're going to need a more reliable Devontae Freeman, not the new fumble Freeman that we have now. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to find a way to keep Julio Jones in the game during key points to the game. I mean, because I'm going to give you these numbers. These were Matt Ryan's numbers the last 7 games that he played last year, okay, when the Falcons were doing what they had to do. His passer rating in the last 8 games that the Falcons played, last 8 games was 126.6, 144.5, 121.8, 139.9, and in the playoffs, his average passer rating in the playoffs was 135.3. Ryan threw for over 1,000 yards in 3 games. He averaged 10 yards per attempt, 9 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's about as good as it gets. So I'm not saying.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that he has to have to be at that same level, because those levels, those are like once in a lifetime type numbers, unless you're Tom Brady. But we're gonna need him to get consistently over 100 in that QBR rating, and we can't have any more pick-a-ramas. Yeah, he's got to be clean like he was in the postseason last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll take that 126 guy all day long.
Oh yeah, bro.
You don't have to be 135. You be 126. I'll be all right with you if you're at that 126 all day long.
Yeah, his numbers were just like I said. When I'm looking at these numbers, I mean, just he did exactly what I think that's why Miles was so quiet last year down the stretch. He just said, "Well, I can't say anything because the guy is finally performing like an elite quarterback. I can't say anything at all." I mean, 17 out of 23 against a bad San Francisco team, 2 touchdowns, no interception, 286 yards, 277 against Carolina, next to last game of the season on Christmas Eve, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and the finale against New Orleans, the shootout where they really kind of need that game to get that home field advantage. 27 of 36, 331, 4 touchdown passes, not a single pick. And then, of course, in the postseason against Seattle, 26 of 37, 338, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Packers in the championship game, epic. 27 of 38, 392 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks. And although he made a couple of shaky calls in the Super Bowl, the reality is the guy was 17 of 23. He only missed 6 passes the whole game. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But we haven't seen much of that, Matt, this year at all, unfortunately.
Well, let me ask y'all this: Do y'all think it's the play calling, or do you think it's? I mean, I'm talking about literally like the play calling that's out there that's being called on the field, or is it the play calling that's not being called at the right time during the right situations of the game?
Captain, I'm going to let you handle that one first.
Well, to be honest with you, Sark has got a little bit better as far as play calling is as the season has gone along. I think if we go back 2 years ago when Shanahan was first here, we went through the same kind of growing pains, and it was much uglier than this first year under Sark. So I think we got to give him a little more chance. At least another year or so. This offense next year should be clicking a little bit better and should be kind of reminiscent of what we saw in 2016. However, players play and coaches coach. Coach can't run out there and catch a ball for you. Coach can only put you in situations to make a play. And if you're not making plays, then hey, we got to get more Jimmys and Joes, to make plays. If you're not going to make them, when your numbers call, that's the key to this whole league. When your numbers call, when you're asked or pressed into duty, you've got to do what it is that you are being paid to do. And unfortunately, this year the Falcons haven't done that. They've had players that haven't done that and haven't done it well. They've made some catches, they've done some things, but they've been very, very inconsistent from that standpoint. I just feel like at this point, I mean, you can't keep blaming Sark because the plays are what they are. Players have to make plays, and they have to do what they. You can't go out there fumbling the ball. You can't go out there, doing things that if we're on the 1 yard line, we've got to push that in. We've got to punch it in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We can't wait on people to give. Nobody's gonna give you anything. So but at the end of the day, it gets to be that one-on-one kind of thing, that man-on-man kind of situation that you got to win. You got to win. Whenever you get opportunity, you got to win. You got to beat your man, get to that spot, and do your thing. So, yeah, coaches, like I said, they coach, but players have to play and they have to make plays.
Yeah, there's no doubt. When I look at this team, is what I was writing about, and I'm going to have that blog published later on this evening. It's almost like the Cinderella slipper fell off of some of these fellas. You look at a guy like Taylor Gabriel, for example. He was a guy that really had been cut by Cleveland. Right? We're getting ready to get rid of him, and he's brought in here by Shanahan, and he turns into this guy that really we knew, but we really didn't know about him. Mohamed Sanu, yeah, the guy had put some decent numbers up with Cincinnati, but it wasn't like he was a strong number 2 receiver. He was decent. Well, these guys last year, man, they were just knocking the socks off people. And to Sanu's credit, most of this year has been the same. But unlike last year, as you talked about, Ken, the big bugaboo with these guys is that last year these guys all caught the ball like Julio. Nobody dropped passes. This year, it's like they've all kind of reverted back to what they were: role players, guys that you can't count on to make the big catch when you absolutely need it. And really, the last couple that we've seen drops by both Sanu and by Gabriel have been egregious, especially one by Gabriel the other day, because that kind of was a game changer. Because if you watch the replay on that, there was nothing but green turf in front of him, bro. If he caught that ball, most likely would have scored a touchdown or come darn close. So, and these were the kind of plays that last year that he made. Those were the 40-yard screen passes, the bubble screens, and now you're just not seeing it.
Right. And when you make a play like that, if and I know certain situations you get that third down situations, and all of that happens, and you put it in the game, you put it into the ball game, you got to make a play. My thing is, the quarterback is trusting you to put the ball there and to give you the ball. You got to make him. You got to give him that respect back to let him know that, hey, I got this. I got it.
Right.
I think that kind of plays a part in the ball game as well when Matt gets down to it, and that's another reason why I think they've got to find a way. Maybe on second down, Julio's not there, but definitely on third down, he got to be in the ball. Julio, you got to be in the ball game, son. I'm sorry. I don't care what he's done. I don't care if he has just ran, 50 yards and did whatever. I need him in the ball game on third down because he's your money man. They kind of made it an effort, more of a concerted effort to get the ball to him. So he's got to be in the game on third down.
There's no question about it, man. That's your guy. I mean, could you conceive really of Pittsburgh having AB on the bench on third down?
Nope.
Even the Cardinals in his advanced age, are you going to have Larry Fitzgerald on the bench? Even now at 34, nope. He's out there because that's your guy. I mean, there's not brain surgery, all right? I mean, and see, when you see that, you wonder in your mind, okay, who's running the ship? Because the other thing, too, is that we've kind of given him a pass here. Is Dan Quinn. We really haven't said anything about the guy, but, I mean, a lot of these crazy moves, these bad decisions, bad clock management, I mean, that's got to – I mean, it's nice to have the Pete Carroll kind of, hey, we're looking forward. We can't look back. We don't want to think about yesterday. But, hey, man, at some point, you have to learn from your mistakes. I mean, it's just you can't keep saying, okay, it's tomorrow and it's in front of us. We get all that, but at some point you have to take charge when things are breaking down or when there's a crucial decision that have to be made. You got to get up to the plate, man, and make the call. You can't have Raheem Morris pulling your number one receiver off the field on a third down play when you're fighting for your life. You got to tell him, hey, man, turn him loose. Get on out there. Let's go.
Right. I definitely agree with that, Minister. I think that you've got to, he gives almost too much autonomy to his guys offensively and defensively. I think he's more involved on the defensive side. I think he trusts the offensive guy implicitly. I think he just turns that part of the game loose and is not as engaged or as involved as maybe he should be. Because but I agree with you from that standpoint because there are certain things that we know that a head coach is he's supposed to do. Time management, clock management, that's on you. Timeouts are on you. Managing a game through situations, that's all on him. I look at even before we got to that situation when they went up and kicked the field goal to make it 6-0. They let 40 seconds around the clock.
Right.
The other day, instead of giving Matt a full complement of time, they had 3 timeouts. What are we waiting on to call timeout? Once we got to third down.
Amen.
Once we got up to third down, call timeout, or do whatever you need to do to get your team more time. I just think sometimes he does some things that you just don't. You just don't know. And sometimes I know it's all a crapshoot, and it's easy for us to sit out here and look inside the fishbowl and be like, "Oh man, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you shouldn't do this, and you should have done that." And us, we don't get paid to make those decisions, because, I know for a fact, we would all like to think that we do the right thing, but the right thing is all about perception and perspective. He thinks he's doing the right thing as far as his team is concerned. So that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. But I just believe that there are certain situations where he has to get better as far as managing games, in-game decision making. It's not a strong suit. Now he can pick talent. We know he can pick talent.
Yes, sir.
But as far as being that guy as an in-game guy, if it ever comes down between us coaching and our coaching and somebody else's coaching is probably going to win, as it did in the Super Bowl.
All right, guys, we're gonna
bring that up.
We're gonna stop for just a second here. Before we go to break here, I believe we have a caller on the line here. Let's click on here. Caller, phone line ending in 4727. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man. Thanks for letting me on. You guys are hitting on a lot of the main points, but I guess with quarterbacks, we got to understand one thing, man. Nobody's as good as their best season, and they're not as bad as their worst season. So when Matt throw out last year and throw out, a couple of years ago when he was really bad, a lot of times, man, look, 1 year maybe you catch all the breaks. Your interceptable passes get dropped. Your receivers don't knock the ball into a defensive back, into an interception, or that falls on somebody's behind and gets picked off. And in 1 year, all of that goes wrong. That's one aspect that we're dealing with. Second aspect is there's a huge difference between Sarkisian and what the boy in San Francisco can do.
Shanahan.
And we watch him with Jimmy Garoppolo scheming people open. When you see a player like Taylor Gabriel, who is dependent on the scheme to be effective, you see once he has to actually, eat his own meal, he's just not, that good. He's still fast, but he's not that kind of quality receiver. So it was a huge mistake to bring Sark in. That's a part of the regression. The other part of it is, we got to admit at a certain point that Matt is what he is. He's not an all-time great. He's not necessarily a franchise QB. He's a good QB, and if you put everything around him and things are going well, he can be all-pro. But when things start to break down and he has to improvise, he will struggle at times. And, that's what they're dealing with. But, the biggest issue there is the things that Sark can't do that Shanahan could do as far as with the roster. Because, you look at that receiving core in Frisco and see what they did to Jacksonville last week. That's letting you know that scheme matters. But, man, we in Atlanta, so it's rough. And you say anything about Matt, people get mad at you. But, come on now. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to prop him up at this point. He's been paid well. He's been given weapons at every turn ever since he walked into the door with Michael Turner and Roddy. You know what I mean? So he's got weapons at every turn. So we just got to come to the conclusion that, okay, he's a pretty good quarterback who needs weapons and needs a good scheme. And if things go well, you can go far. But if things get muddy, you got trouble. So, it's not a knock on Ryan. It's just, bringing reality to it and seeing them facts, sir. You preaching, sir. You preaching.
You done made Mr. Miles Chair a happy man, bro.
I've been dealing with this just like y'all have, man. Got Saints fans at work bothering the hell out of me. So, it's just stuff we got to deal with. But, things aren't all bad for the Falcons. You know what I mean? Anytime you got somebody like Julio, who's a game breaker, Jones on defense who makes plays, you got a shot. So that's the good thing about it. And they continue to build. But I got some of the same questions y'all do about the coaching staff. I don't know if it's necessarily the one.
Hey, sir, can I ask you a question right quick, Mr. Simmons?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Hey, I'm going to ask you, do you think the Falcons should draft a quarterback this year? Do you think they should draft for their future?
You asking me that question?
It depends on where they're drafted.
Go ahead.
Well, anybody want to answer?
Yeah, since they're not drafted high enough to grab one of the guys who, we would consider a possible franchise guy, I would say no. And trading up at this point, hell, you got way too many holes to patch to be trading up. So I would say no right now. But, you definitely need to be looking at it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I think there's no
Lamar
question.
Jackson is on the board if Lamar Jackson is on the board when they're trying to pick, should they get him or not?
Okay.
If he falls all the way in the 20s?
Come on,
Be
bro.
fair. It's possible. A lot of people say he's going to be second or third round. People saying that.
people on drugs. Yeah, because I
Man, we
mean,
ain't see the ball thrown, a can't run or nothing, and they already down in the man. But no, I mean, if he falls that far, hell, no, why not? But go ahead.
Ken, what do you think?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's some validity what Miles is talking about. I mean, I think it's something they got to look at because Matt is entering into a market now where we're going to have to pay him almost $130 million.
Oh, my
He's going to be
goodness.
the quarterback for the next 3 or 4 years.
That's a lot of money.
You know, so that's a lot of money. So it's something to think about. And you know, you want to strike while you have this window opportunity. What people don't understand is that every team has a window, and when you come into that viable window of winning ball games and possibly winning championships, it's only about 3 to 5 years.
That's it. Yep.
That you have, unless you are Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, unless you are Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are always in the mix of those things. And we don't have that kind of cachet. But now you got guys that you see it all over the league. The window's closing on Seattle. The window's closing on quite a few teams now. And I just want to get the most we can out of what we have before we have to start really paying a lot of these guys a lot of big money. Because you're gonna have to pay Vic. You're gonna have to pay Grady Jarrett. You're gonna have to pay Deion Jones. You're gonna have to pay all these guys that are now still under their rookie contract. But they're coming up. So hopefully we can win something or do something special or find somebody who can play just as well as they can through the draft, before that window closes on us.
Well, that's always the problem when you're trying to, that's why last year, nobody wants to rehash. I understand we got to move on, but that's why last year was such a crushing blow because you don't. I mean, I was watching the documentary on Dan Marino. Dan Marino in his second year, 5,000 yards, took Miami to the Super Bowl. And I always remember that famous commercial of him and Joe Montana, kind of walking out the tunnel and him basically the kind of ended, hey, I guess I'll see you next year. Well, next year never came for Dan Marino. It came 2 or 3 more times for Joe Montana, but it didn't come anymore. It didn't come anymore at all for him. And as great as a passer he was, probably the best pure passer ever to play in the game. But he just because that window opened, and for him, unfortunately, closed very quickly. They just could never get a team around him that could balance off that big arm.
Right. And the thing about it is, even with Atlanta, heck, it took us 19 years to get back to the Super Bowl again.
That's right.
So that's not something. That's not something that, it doesn't come every day in some cities. It doesn't come every day for us, so we just have to do what we do.
All right, guys, we're going to take a little quick break here. You listen to the Real Talk Sports Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Attention promoters, event organizers, and committees. If you're looking for a place to have your next big event, you must check out the C Room Multiplex. The C Room Multiplex cordially invites you to book your next artist or to host your next big event at the C Room, specializing in the following areas: CD release parties, showcases, fashion shows, movie premieres, birthday celebrations, wedding receptions, banquets, pastor's anniversaries, special events, and more. At the C Room Multiplex, we also offer catering and decorating packages. For more information, call us 678-823-5124. That's 678-823-5124. Or visit us on the web at croomatlanta.com. That's c-roomatlanta.com. The C Room is Atlanta's premier Christian entertainment venue. The C Room, 4013A Jonesboro Road, Forest Park, Georgia. Mention this ad for special pricing.
This is Minister Jonathan Simmons, host of the Real Talk Sports Show. Do you like the positive sports stories you've been hearing? Well, partner with us to help keep the good news of sports on the air. We have great audio, video, and internet advertising packages available to promote any size business or event. Contact me directly at 678-410-9833 or send me an email, sales@realtalksports.net. We'd love to partner with you to keep the good news in sports on the air.
And we are back. A little bit of welcome to Atlanta because that's we're broadcasting you just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. For those of you who are listening to us on Blog Talk Radio, we appreciate you as you are listening to the Real Talk Sports Show ATL live version. And again, you can give us a call if you want to join in the broadcast on 347-326-9991. You also can watch us live on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, Real Talk Sports, or you can check us out as we broadcast to you also on YouTube live as well. But again, if you want to join the broadcast, and your call will actually be piped through the video as well. So if you are got some folks that are watching us, they'll be able to hear you as well. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up our Falcons talk here and look at the rest of the NFL playoff situation. Who do you guys, if you had to kind of, rank, everybody has this power ranking thing that they have out here, but who would you say would be your Super Six right now? To 6 teams that you feel, both leagues, to have the best shot to get into the Super Bowl and maybe taking the whole thing.
I couldn't hear you, Mr. Sims. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna ask the question. I said, who do you think has the best shot of all the teams that are remaining here? Give me your Super Six, top 6 teams that you think will have the best shot of going to the Super Bowl and/or winning it.
Well, you definitely got to go with the New England Patriots. You got to have them have the number 1 spot with them beating Pittsburgh in the head-to-head a couple weeks ago, with AB out on Antonio Brown out on injury, which he is supposed to be back for the playoffs. But we yet to see that. We're gonna see what kind of shape he's in, or if he's gonna be 100% when he come back. I said my third team. I gotta go with one of those. I guess my first team out of the NFC would be. I gotta go with my heart on this one. I gotta go with the Carolina Panthers. When Cam Newton is playing at his MVP level, which he has been doing these last couple of games, 3 to 4 games, he's been looking real good out there. I think earlier in the season he was doing a little injury. He was a little injured from his off-season shoulder injury or surgery. And then you got to go with the New Orleans Saints. Then the Falcons, if they make it. And I guess I got to put the St. Louis Rams at the end, because I really think Philadelphia's done for the rest of the season. They're going to have to start all over with Carson Wentz, even though it's one of their best, probably the best season they had in franchise history, I believe that's what it said. But it's going to get cut short because of the injury to Carson Wentz.
Mr. Swilling.
So, I got to go in. New England winning it all, though.
All right, Ken, what do you think?
If it was me, I agree with him with the New England and Pittsburgh. I think they're the top 2 teams right now. I really think the Rams are probably my third best team overall, just because they can score a lot of points. If I had to take another team, it's definitely going to be Minnesota. It would be my 4th team. And then I got Carolina, and, of course, I got to put the Falcons in there in my top 6. I'm leaving the Saints out for a purpose. I can't stand the Saints. So,
tell the truth, brother. Go and tell the truth. It's all right.
I'm leaving them out. I do think Philly has enough to win, and because everybody in the NFC is going to have to go to Philly, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. So I'm just not convinced that folks can bring them to the championship, can take them there. But they've got enough defense with Fletcher Cox and those guys up front. Barnett, the kid out of Tennessee. They got enough up front with Chris Long and everybody up front to do some things defensively to make a game real tough there and real ugly. So, with that being said, I think that, the NFC is going to be a little more closer than we think it is. Hopefully they'll get knocked out in the second week or something like that. But who knows? We know whoever knocks them out is going to have to go to Philly to do it, though.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah. I don't trust Nick Foles. I just don't. I have no faith in Nick Foles at all to lead a team to and that's the same way I feel about Case Keenum. They're for one thing, they're journeymen. Okay, ain't no journeyman gonna lead you to the Super Bowl. I've never seen a thing. Maybe close thing that I've seen to that was maybe Trent Dilfer, maybe the closest thing as a journeyman leading your team, like a second or third stringer, leading it. But Carson Wentz, I mean not Carson Wentz, but Nick Foles. I've seen his past history. He hasn't showed me anything to prove me wrong on that or to convince me. And the same way goes with Case Keenum. I think that's like his fifth or sixth team he's on. So even though he's been doing good, but I mean I don't think he's consistent enough. Out of those two are going to be consistent enough to take a. Especially when they got two of the best defenses though in the whole playoffs, but in the playoffs you're going to need them to score, and to beat one of them AFC teams, New England or Pittsburgh, you definitely going to have to score, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Well, I think you guys hit it on the head. No question, New England and Pittsburgh, at least as far as the eye test, they look to be pretty much the two best teams in the league. Philadelphia, I mean, everybody's killing Nick Foles, but this is a guy that, again, he's a system guy. But when he's in the right system, the guy shows that he can take care of his business. I mean, this is a guy that, I mean, I don't care whether you say it was a tricky system or, gimmicky. The bottom line is, in the NFL, throwing 27 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions and throwing 7 in one game, that's pretty stout. Okay, so I think at the end of the day, with the defense they have, they do have a very strong running game. Keep in mind, they got that two-headed monster, LeGarrette Blount and Ajayi. So, I mean, they don't have to rely on him to throw the ball around. And you get some bad weather up there in the Northeast, bro, they can just pound. And, especially against a team like the Rams team that has a high potent offense, okay, you put them in a situation where, it's always the same thing. Warm weather team going to cold weather. And now, again, the Rams are the wild card because – yeah, they score a lot, but they got Gurley. And see, Gurley is the equalizer because he is the guy that can win you a game in that type of slugfest because he's one of the best, if not the best running back in the league right now. Ezekiel Elliott's coming back, but I mean, Gurley, as far as that performance the other day, 158 yards, I think, receiving, another 124 yards on the ground. But that's going to be a handful. So I'm liking the Rams, like the Eagles. Got to throw the Falcons in there because I'm here in Atlanta. Patriots, Pittsburgh, as we mentioned already, and my sixth team. I think I'll lean with Carolina, kind of keeping the hometown flavor since Cam is from Atlanta, and from time to time I see Cam's dad. I don't want him to say, "Hey man, I heard on your show you kind of didn't, put my boy up there in the top 6." I don't want to run afoul of Bishop. You know what I mean? That's ministerial courtesy. We don't want to do that. So.
Right. Mr. Simmons, I agree with you with the Gurley situation. My thing is, I don't think there's a team in the NFC that's going to be in the playoffs that's going to allow him to go off like that. One man is not going to beat me like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think with everybody with a full complement of people, and I'm going to make Goff beat me. Goff is going to have to be the guy, and I'm not saying he can't, but we're going to find out that day if he can or not. Because I'm doing everything I can to stop Todd Gurley because that's how they use him. That's what they want to do with him. And he's a heck of a talent. But I'm just not going to allow. I can game plan to shut down one man. And that's what they've got to do. They've got to shut it. You've got to shut him down and don't let him get started. And you got to have 11 guys getting to the ball, regardless of if they line him up outside or what they do with him. And to Sean McVay's credit, that's been the most beautiful thing I think I've seen all year long was that they have taken him and made him a 3-down back.
Right.
Made him that guy that they could put out in the space, match him up against linebackers, match him up against safeties. And he's the kind of guy that you didn't really know. Did you know he could catch the ball like that before? When he was at the University of Georgia, did you know he had those kind of hands?
Not like that, brother.
No, you didn't see it. No, you didn't see it like that.
You didn't see that. Even when the old man had him last year, you didn't see that. You just had him as a back, as a two-down, pretty much a two-down back. On third down, he was coming off the field.
Yeah.
And we know he was the best player on the team, and the best player in their offense. But all Sean McVay's done is said, okay, you're my best player. I believe in you. Here's the ball. We're going to get it to you about 30 times a game, 15 rushing, 15 passing, some combination thereof. We're going to get it to you about 30 times a game. And that's what they do.
That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and shift here a little bit from NFL, and let's talk a little quickly of some college football. All right, college football playoffs coming up. Speaking of Georgia, obviously going out to the Rose Bowl, first time in 75 years, taking on, speaking of high-powered offense, a very potent offense in Oklahoma. And, of course, the guy who's the best player in college football this year, Baker Mayfield. We talked a little bit last week about what Georgia has to do defensively. What does Georgia need to do offensively to win this game? Miles, I'm going to hit you up first.
Was that? You want me to go first?
Yeah, let you go first. Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes, sir. First, what you said, what does Georgia got to do to offensively or defensively? I can hear you.
I'm saying, Georgia, what do they have to do defensively to, win this ball game? We know what they have to do defensively. They got to stop Baker Mayfield and that high-powered passing attack. But what do they have to do offensively to win this game?
Well, I say like we said a couple of weeks ago, they're going to have to let their offense be a good defense and keep Baker Mayfield off the field. I think they need to use all three of the running backs. I mean, I think they all need to get about 15 carries each, maybe 20 if you want to push one of them getting 20 and all the rest of them get 15. But you need to run that ball at least 40 to 50 times between those three running backs for the whole game. And just cut the most. You're gonna like Ken said a couple weeks ago. You're not gonna stop Baker. They're going to score. But I mean, you're ready for him to have 20 points or 17 points going into the fourth, then 36 or 35 going into the fourth, and having a shootout. So if they just wear that defense down, which I don't think that defense got the front line. It's not the old Oklahoma defense like we've been seeing when Stoops was there 2 or 3 years ago. They're not as stout as they usually are. They don't went strictly offensive heavy. So I really think that Georgia got to just basically play action with Fromm, keep the defense honest with the run, and just every now and then you pop a Fromm with one of them play action passes to the tight end, or can't remember his name right now, number 18, and Ridley. I mean, they got some weapons a little bit more than they had in the past on the passing game. So I really believe they got to burn that clock and keep Mayfield off the field as much as they possibly can. And get a spy, let Roquan Smith spy Baker Mayfield all night. Like, just see the dribble sweat dripping down his neck if you see it. And just go wipe it off for him. I mean, you got to keep your eyes on him.
Mr. Swilling?
Well, I agree with Miles. I think Georgia has to run the ball proficiently, and I think they have to do it at a at a rate that they can kind of slow the game down, make it a bloody matchup if they can, and that way they don't have to deal with Baker Mayfield. They can limit Oklahoma's possessions. That would help them out a whole lot as far as winning and going to win the ball game. I'm taking Georgia in the ball game. I know I normally wouldn't say that. I don't like even saying it right now. It makes me itch. It makes my neck hurt, to choose them. But I got to take them, Me being a Tech guy, I don't like Georgia. I'm not supposed to cheer for them, but they are representing this state. And they are representing, they are representing us right now. So I got to kind of ride with them, But there's a part of me, a small part of me that doesn't want them to win. But I'm trying to get questions right now.
That's real talk. That's real talk. I mean, you honest about it. Well, at the end of the day, I think that everybody has agreed that Georgia is going to have to, in fact, control the ball. I know if I was Oklahoma, you're going to have to do what everybody does. You have to stack 8 in the box and take your chances and try to force the young freshman, Jake Fromm, to beat you. I think that Georgia, I know we're talking about running the ball, but I think in order for them to win the game, they're going to have to find different ways to, quote, unquote, run the ball. It's not going to be, to me, just, hey, we just hand off these cats and just try to out-muscle them. You might get some of that early on, but I think in order to win this game, they're going to have to kind of mix up a little bit. I think they're going to have to do some of the things you saw against Auburn. You're going to have to get guys like Michelle and guys like Swift out in space. It may be some reverse plays, maybe one or two trickeration plays, jet sweeps, things where you basically are forcing these guys to react besides just ground and pound. I wouldn't even be surprised if you wouldn't even see a some type of halfback pass in this game. But definitely, you want to do something that is going to, yes, keep your possession of the ball. But I mean, I know we're talking SEC power against teams that traditionally don't play well defensively, but we really don't know how well Oklahoma really can defend the run. We know they can't defend the pass based on what we've seen in Big 12 action. So I think at the end of the day, I think for Georgia to win, that they're going to have to mix it up. Short passes, screen passes, I think will be very effective against Oklahoma. Putting those big boys into space where they can do some damage. But I think you're not going to just be able to line up and just smash it at them, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think you're going to have to kind of mix it up a little bit to play keep away from Oklahoma. How about the other game? I mean, Alabama against Clemson.
Well, I got to support my coach, my new coach, Mr. Jeremy Pruitt. So I got to go with as Stephen A. Smith would say, roll tide. I got to roll with him, and I know that'll help us in the future of our recruiting, getting another national title on his ring, so we have a whole handful of them. But now let me get myself out the way. But Alabama got to open up their offense. I don't know what kind of play calling Alabama's been doing this year. They're really missing Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin. I mean, their play calling is so inconsistent. I mean, they get some good running going, and then they just go away from it like they did against the Auburn game. They was doing good with Scarborough, and then they have Harris would go in there, 3 or 4 plays. He'll have a good run, and then he'll have a bad run, 2 plays, and I mean he wouldn't bring back Bo Scarborough. Then they start bringing play action in there for what's his name, Hurts. What's his name?
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. Yep.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah. So Jalen Hurts is gonna be the X factor, the difference. He's gonna have to pass. He's gonna have to complete. He's gonna have to throw the ball at least about 20 times, and he's gonna need to complete about 60% of that, 70% of them passes, about 20, 25 passes, and they got to be stretched the field a little bit too. It can't be just dink and dunks all day because the defense is athletic and they're fast and maybe the best defensive line in the country, maybe. And but at the end of the day, I got to go with that old coach, Nick Saban, that had a month to prepare for this. And in revenge games, Nick Saban is pretty tough. And so I got to go with the Roll Tide on this one.
Mr. Swilling, are you still predicting? Last time we were on the air, you were talking about a Clemson potential blowout.
Hey, I'm still talking it. I'm still believing it. I'm still
that's disrespectful, sir. That's disrespectful.
And you can call it being disrespectful. You can call it being what you want to be. You can go ahead and say it, Miles. Clemson's defensive line is the best defensive line in the country. There ain't no maybe to it. They are the best defensive line in the country. They're one of the best front sevens in the country. And when it comes down to it, I think the game is going to be, I think it's going to be a 14-point game. That's just how I feel. That's the way I believe at this moment. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I do know that. I believe it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I don't think they're going to expect Kelly Bryant to do the things he can do with his feet as well as what he can do with his arm. So I don't think they've seen anybody like that since they've seen Deshaun Watson. They definitely didn't see anybody like that this year in the SEC besides Nick Fitzgerald before he got hurt going out for Mississippi State. But it's just one of those things. I'm an ACC guy, so I got to choose the Clemson Tigers. That's my Tigers. I always tell the story. I almost went to school over there. I can walk out my mama's house and get in a car and drive 30 minutes when I'm be on Clemson campus. So I got to go with the Tigers.
Well, I got a question for you, Mr. Swilling. What have you seen out of Bryant this year to show you that he's going to be able to throw the ball like that. I mean, he's almost in the same category as Hurts a little bit. I mean, I think he's more accurate, of course. I think he's more accurate. But,
He's a lot more
but what have you seen from him during the game that he's showing you and proving to you that he's going to be a efficient passer against this Alabama defense? Is well rested.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I understand your questioning. And I do, as Dan Quinn would say, I recognize it. I understand it. I take it for what it is. But the proof is in the pudding, and we'll see on the 1st of January. What I've seen this year, I've seen enough from him this year to let me know that he's going to be ready to play in this particular game. Y'all keep talking about you and VJ especially keep talking about where he's not as good of a passer as Jalen Hurts. I think he's a better passer than Hurts, and he might be just as good of a runner as Hurts is. So,
definitely, I'll give him that. But I'm talking about passing. Well, we said he ain't as good a passer as Deshaun Watson was. That's what we were saying. Now, Jalen Hurts, I think he's
wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, let me see if I can get this straight. You're trying to compare a freshman quarterback at Clemson with a guy that twice finished in the top 5 of the Heisman balloting. That's what you just told me? A guy set a record for 5,000 yards of total offense, 4,000 passing, 1,000-yard running for only guy to ever do that. Second guy to do that besides Cam. That what you're telling me? Hello?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What has Kelly Bryant done?
Well, listen.
To prove to you that he is capable of doing that. Because he did that. That's the only reason that Clemson beat Alabama, because of Deshaun Watson. The only reason.
Right,
but I have my computer, I'll pull up the stats right now. But to let you know exactly what he's done through the air this year. But
I got him for you right here. I got him for you.
I'm not.
I got him for you. Here's the setup right here with Kelly Bryant. Obviously, the guy was injured, so he wasn't in all of the games. But at the end of the day, passing numbers are very credible. 2,600 yards in the air, 67% completion ratio. That's the thing that stands out there. 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But against teams in the AP top 25, 96 of 149, 1,100 yards, 64% passing, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Quarterback rating of 135.4. So this kid's no slouch. At the end of the day, he is going to.
Enough, that's all.
No, but people could have said that about Jalen Hurts last year. There's a certain thing that happens, and Ken will tell you because he played on a championship team. When you are on a championship caliber team, there's something about that pedigree. There's something about that coaching that's in place. There's something about the other teammates that are around you that allow you to play maybe a notch above what you normally would do because you have that kind of championship, roster and support around you. So there are certain expectations. And matter of fact, in many cases, you guys will tell you they played above what they thought their capacity was because they were pushed to do so by that championship kind of feel and that teamwork and the coaching. Like I said, this guy, and again, to me, I think it's going to be just like the other 2 games. I think it's going to be coming right down to the wire. And I just think that the bad taste that's in Coach Nick Saban's mouth is going to come out. But I think it's going to come right down to the wire, just like the other 2 games have. But I really do think that Coach Saban, the guy just hates losing that much that I don't think he could tolerate a second straight loss to Clemson. So
you might be right. And Miles, the reason why you question Kelly Bryant is because you don't watch ACC football. That's why you question him. You said you hadn't seen enough of him. It's because you don't watch ACC football. No.
I watched the Auburn game and I watched the first game of the season. I can't remember. I think they played. It was more of a rinky-dink school, but
wow, shot. You gotta throw a shot, don't you?
Yeah, it was a rinky-dink. I think it was I don't remember who it was, but it might have been the HBCU team.
It was Kent State.
Was it Kent State? Okay, well, yeah,
He said a HBCU school. That's what I like about him, though.
But what I'm saying is, I just haven't seen. I mean, if your stats for the whole season is 2,000 yards or 2,500, I think you said, what was it, 20, whatever it was, 13 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's stats through the first 4 games.
Well, I mean, again, if you
out of all 12 games.
well, yeah, first of all, remember now, he did miss a game. Number one, number two, you are talking about a guy that, as Ken mentioned, is playing on a team that probably has the best defense in the country. So we don't need him to sling the ball around. Defensively, Clemson was so stout. I mean, if you look at some of these scores, okay, against teams that that basic how to put up points, they beat Auburn 14-6. Auburn's couldn't score a touchdown against them. And we saw what they did to Georgia, and we saw what they did to Alabama. They scored 6 points against Clemson in that game against Auburn.
Second game.
But I'm just saying, brother. Okay, all right, bro. All right, but you're trying to say, you try to make it sound like this guy played nobody of any caliber. Okay, at the time, Auburn was considered to be still a pretty decent team. They was 19 of 29, 189 yards. No interceptions, didn't throw any touchdowns, but no interceptions. Ran the ball 19 times for 59 yards and had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Okay, let's play him against another decent school, Louisville. They trumped Louisville 47-21. He had a huge game. Outthrew Lamar Jackson 22 of 32, 316 in the air. That's almost 70%. And scored 2 more touchdowns on the ground, counted for 3 of their 6 touchdowns. Boston College 34-7. I mean, this guy. I mean, you can say, oh, how much did he play? What did he do? Even against NC State, when they had to kind of sling it around a little bit, he was decent. I mean, because keep in mind, again, you don't need a guy to be like Deshaun Watson this year. You don't need that because the team just defensively is that stout. So you don't need that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I really, truly think that this is just going back to them 2 last 2 years, Deshaun Watson needed to be Deshaun Watson to beat Alabama.
No, I agree.
Kelly Bryant is going to have to. He's going to have to be more than what he's been to beat Alabama on this big stage in the national semifinal.
I hear what you're saying, bro.
More than what we've been seeing.
I got all that, but what I'm telling you is, Alabama's not the same team as they were last year either.
Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate you saying that. I know that nothing is valid until you come through the SEC. I know that nothing at all is valid. So if Oklahoma wins and Clemson wins this season, we might as well throw this season away because, even though they beat 2 SEC teams, it won't count in our eyes because it wasn't the SEC playing the championship game. You know what I'm saying?
Lord have mercy.
I understand the way you feel about your conference and all that good stuff. But as I told you before, the minister just said it. Alabama, this might be the weakest Alabama team.
Yeah.
And when I say weakest, I mean they're not on par with what we have seen Alabama be in the past. They're not that dominant team that we think of right now. So, and I know they had a chance to get some people back. I know they had a chance to do all this stuff. But and like I said, time will tell when they line it up, when they go for it. Everybody. I mean, I think people are playing kind of even. Have played even with Alabama this year, a little bit more so than we've seen in the past.
You can say that, I guess. I mean, especially the way Auburn beat them like that, I haven't seen that in years. So
yeah, I mean, they didn't look like the same team.
I think them last 2 weeks. Yeah, but Auburn would have been, like you said, Auburn would have beat anybody them last 2 weeks when they played Georgia and Alabama, the way they were playing at home.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say because Auburn played totally different at home than they did on the road. And I don't know what it is. If you take a 20-year-old kid off campus, all of a sudden he forgets he can't play. He can play. But, when you got Auburn at home, that's a tough out for anybody. I tell you what, when you hear him hit that War Eagle and that eagle flies across the stage, flies across the field and lands, and those people are excited and going crazy, it's a tough environment to play in. So, that's a big, huge advantage that they have playing at home. But unfortunately, if you win a championship, you got to win some games on the road.
Yeah.
And they just wasn't able to do that. But like you said, I do believe that if that game with Clemson had been a little bit later in the season, it could have been a different outcome. Could have been a different outcome because Jeff Kennedy was a different guy at that point. You know, Auburn gave up like 10 or 11 sacks in that game. And that's, you know, that's crazy. That's unheard of. You know what I'm saying? The team gets 11 sacks from you. You know, but that was one of the things that Stidham had to get used to. The SEC type speed. That was the first real big defense they played against. And I think them losing that game to Clemson actually helped them beat Georgia and Alabama.
Oh, no doubt.
To be honest with you, because they'd already seen those two type, that kind of caliber of defense coming at them.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to switch over here. We're going to wrap it up with a little NBA basketball here. Twitter is ablaze, taking all kind of shots at Kevin Durant. Golden State wins an epic 99-92 a game over Cleveland Cavaliers. Another Christmas Day extravaganza, but people were saying that KD got away with a lot of hacking and slashing on LeBron down the stretch. Oh, I knew I was waiting for you, Miles, because that's your boy. So go ahead. What happened?
Man, he always. I mean, if he would have had a knife, he wouldn't have had no arms last night, man, because it was ridiculous. His arms would have been cut off if KD had a knife or something in his head. He'd been sliced up. So that was just, and they did it twice. I mean, I didn't even see LeBron really complaining that much about the first one, but the second time when he got him, I mean, it was just something. I think the league needs to take a look at it. I don't think it's gonna make a difference in the winning column or the loss column, but I'm just saying I think they do need to take a look at that because it did change the whole aspect of the whole game.
Look at what, Miles?
The two fouls. One of them could have been intentional.
When have you ever seen the league take a look at two fouls that happened to be to LeBron? And you saw KD over there talking about. KD was talking about he too big for them to call that. They're not gonna call it on him because LeBron is too big. LeBron is a big dude. I mean, it reminds me of when Shaq was playing. Shaq never got calls because he was just a big guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying KD didn't foul him. Before you take this the wrong way. I'm not saying KD didn't foul him. All I'm saying is they're not gonna look at nothing. They're not gonna review nothing. Hey, y'all lost. They won. That's it. Without Steph, they beat y'all. So now what?
Well, the bottom line is
that's why you.
One of the problems is LeBron didn't have a big shooting game.
When you're one of them out. Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you get a super team. When one of you out, you still got four other super players that back you up. So I mean,
okay, I'm just
call a super team. So
now, what did y'all have what y'all have last year? I mean, let me see if I can get this straight. You have.
I want no super team.
Well, hold on. Let's look at your lineup last year. You had LeBron James, the guy who's considered the best player in the league, right? Okay, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Okay, you have Kevin Love, a guy who's been one of the top 3 rebounders and three-point shooters in the league the last 6 or 7 years running, a perennial all-star, right? He's on your team, right?
But can I ask you?
No, hold on a second. Let me finish. Is he on your team? Yes or no?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, and last year, did you not have Kyrie Irving, a guy who's now elevated his game to be one of the top 5 players in the league and an absolute killer in postseason play? Matter of fact, the reason, more so than LeBron, if you want to be honest, that y'all won the championship that you have in Cleveland. Wasn't he on the team last year? Hello?
Yep.
I'm just checking.
I give you 2 of those.
Wow.
I give you 2.
Okay.
Like
So,
everybody was talking about.
wow.
That's 2.5. We got 2.5 stars. 2.5.
Okay. All right.
Kevin Love is on the same level as Matt Ryan on the NFL level. He's a good player, good quarterback, but he ain't gonna get you that guy to get you that. I'm just saying that's just a comparison I'm talking about. How he's not elite, but he's just a good quarterback.
Wow.
And that's exactly what Kevin Love is. He's not elite. He's just a good player.
If the man was in any other city besides playing with a championship, besides playing with LeBron, he would be considered a megastar, a superstar.
Dude, listen.
I don't know about that.
People were complaining.
You don't know about that.
People were complaining when they made the trade. They said that Cleveland stacked the team when they got Kevin Love. Don't you remember, brother? You got bad memory, Miles. I mean, something's wrong. You all right over there?
But I just said, I don't think he's not a elite. He's not a superstar. If anything, he's just a star. He's not a superstar.
Wow. What?
Draymond Green is a superstar. Kevin Durant is a superstar. Steph Curry is a superstar. Klay Thompson is probably. I mean, I think he's a superstar. He's more of a superstar than Kevin Love is to me.
Okay, let me.
He can stand there and he can shoot from anywhere on the court.
Can I give you the stats from last night's game, just real quick?
Also, 2.5.
Can I give you the stats from last night's game, real quick, just so you know? Okay, LeBron James played 40 minutes last night. He had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Okay, and that guy who's not elite, that guy that just like a throw-in, Kevin Love, his stat line against the team that has a stacked team, 31 points, 18 rebounds, including 7 offensive rebounds, and 2 steals. He led the Cavaliers in scoring, and he only played 35 minutes. I'm just saying, that's your boy Kevin Love, who you think is some kind of inferior player. I'm just saying, he was the leading scorer for both teams.
I'm just saying, I seen him do that, but then I seen that Matt Ryanism come out of him. That Matt Ryanism.
Wow. Okay, that's it. I'm through.
He'll get that. As I said, he'll start. He won't do that. He won't do that again when they play the Golden State Warriors. Look what he did with him in the playoffs. This dude left the lane open the whole time. He doesn't play defense at all. He doesn't play defense. He's a good rebounder, and he's a big man that can stretch the floor. That's what Kevin loves.
I'm through. All right, real quick, we got to wrap up here. Atlanta Hawks, over under on 20 games.
Oh my goodness. Under.
Ken?
Right at 20.
Right at 20.
Right at 20.
All right. Well, here's
my 18.
Atlanta Hawks. I think they're gonna go over on the 20. I think this is a team that in the second half of the year, once everybody comes back from their injuries and understand that they're not gonna get any playing time for Coach Bud, unless they actually play some defense. I think this team has the potential to get another 15 more wins out of them. I think they're at, another 16 more wins. They're at 9 wins right now. So I just think that they got a shot to be able to get the 25 wins. So I'm picking the over on 20 for the Hawks. Entertaining team to watch. I mean, that's the thing that kind of keeps people at least engaged. The team, I hate to overuse this term, they do play hard. And at least for 3 quarters, and I think maybe because they put so much energy running around trying to, play the defense that they do against superior teams, it wears them out. But really, for 3 quarters, they actually are a pretty good team. And ironically, are one of the best defensive teams in terms of steals. Now, they can turn you over. And I think really the biggest thing they're going to be able to try to really need to do is to try to convert more of these turnovers to points, especially their layups. They miss more layups than anything I've ever seen. All right, guys. Well, as always, the time has drawn to a close. I can't believe it. We'll have to go to final remarks there first. Mr. Miles T.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simmons, appreciate this opportunity once again, man. WIGO, thank you. Game Time Sports Talk Radio, 8:30 to 9:30 Friday night. Everybody tune in and live, laugh, love. Peace out.
Mr. Ken Swilling.
As always, love more and hate just a little bit less. I'm trying to work on myself, Miles. So, you're not making it easy, brother.
Well, there you go right there, guys. We'll, as we always like to say here, and this is a perfect season for Christmas season. If you don't know Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, please, sir, get to know him today. Nobody loves you like Jesus. Absolutely nobody. He's the only way by which you can get into heaven, is have a relationship with him. And the other thing, too, is that is the way that you really have a life well lived. So just want to give you that tip because he's the reason for the season. Hopefully everybody out there had a wonderful Christmas and certainly our great cheer and regard for you that you come into the new year stronger and better than ever. All right, everybody, you can follow us show at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. You can find us there anywhere on social media. Great stuff we got going on Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, on Facebook. You also can follow me personally at Minister J. Sims. That's at Minister, the initial J, followed by SIMM. And you can find some great inspirational stuff. We try to give you the daily Bible scripture that pops up on Bible.com so you can find it. We actually do it on all of our sites. So if you want a little inspiration, you can go ahead and check that out. as well. Like I said, we appreciate each and every one of you that has joined us here tonight, and we certainly ask you to, spread the word. We'd love to have you tune in. We appreciate all the people. I just want to say there's so many people who have logged on and who have, caught portions of the show through the archive and the replay. We just appreciate you so much. Well, there's the music. I guess that means we got to go. All right, everybody. God bless you, and have a great night.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, guys, that will do it. As we wrap up here, another episode of Real Talk Sports Show. Thanks those of you to join us here on both Facebook and YouTube Live. Shout out to my sister in the Lord, April Lanaire Setmanot. Appreciate the hearts, appreciate the love. As always, a great supporter of our program. You can check her out, Woman to Woman and Associates. She's doing some great things here in Atlanta and pretty soon around the nation to help women in trouble. All right, everybody. Love you much. God bless you. Happy holidays. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right. That will do it, guys. Again, we appreciate those of you who have watched us here again on the live stream broadcasting. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Sister April. Just always great to have you join us on the live broadcast. All your encouragement. Want to give a shout out also to someone else who had joined us here. I didn't get a chance to hit them up when they were on the air. But again, we just want to tell everybody we appreciate you so much for joining us and for all the things that you guys do. Remember, share the broadcast, share the love, let people know we're on every Tuesday, 7 to 8:30 p.m. We're probably going to change as we go into the new year. We're probably going to change to Monday. But nevertheless, God bless you and have a great night.